In January 2026, China launched Joint Sword 2026, an unprecedented series of massive military drills that saw Chinese forces encircling Taiwan from all directions. The world watched as the People's Liberation Army Navy deployed dozens of warships and aircraft, creating a ring of steel around the island. This show of force signaled a new, more dangerous status quo in the region, one where military brinkmanship has become the norm rather than the exception. For 72 tense hours, PLA warships and aircraft simulated a full-scale blockade and precision missile strikes, rehearsing scenarios that could one day become reality. The drills shrank the already narrow buffer zone, disrupting global shipping lanes and grounding commercial flights. The economic shockwaves rippled far beyond the strait, affecting supply chains and markets worldwide. These exercises were not just symbolic, they were a rehearsal for a real campaign, a clear warning that China is preparing for all possibilities, including a potential invasion. The drills tested China's ability to coordinate a major, multi-branch operation, integrating naval, air, and missile forces in a complex display of military power. The timing was no accident. The drills were a direct response to increasingly close US-Taiwan ties, including new arms deals and high-level diplomatic visits. But the message was global. Beijing's patience is running out, and it wants the world to know that the status quo is no longer acceptable. In response, the US dispatched the USS Ronald Reagan Carrier Group to the region, closely monitoring the situation and aiming to deter China without provoking open conflict. Regional allies like Japan and the Philippines quickly condemned the drills, voicing their alarm at China's aggressive posture and the threat it poses to regional stability. Yet, these countries tread carefully, balancing condemnation with caution to avoid being drawn into direct confrontation with Beijing. America's long-standing policy of strategic ambiguity, never explicitly stating whether it would defend Taiwan, now faces its toughest and most dangerous test yet. As China's military grows bolder and more capable, the world is left to wonder, can the US defend Taiwan without sparking a catastrophic regional war that could draw in multiple powers? The crisis has forced Washington and its allies to confront the limits of deterrence, the dangers of miscalculation, and the very real risk of escalation spiraling out of control. The Taiwan Strait is now the world's most volatile flashpoint, a crucible where the future of global security, trade, and peace may be decided, with consequences that will echo far beyond Asia. Taiwan is more than just a thriving democracy, it's a vibrant society at the crossroads of East Asia, with a unique identity and a resilient spirit. Its people have built a prosperous, technologically advanced nation that stands as a beacon of freedom in the region. Strategically, Taiwan is a linchpin in the first island chain, a critical barrier that blocks China's navy from easily accessing the wider Pacific Ocean. Its position is not just important, it's pivotal for the security architecture of the entire Asia-Pacific. If Beijing were to control Taiwan, it could project military power deep into the Pacific, threatening US military bases, disrupting vital sea lanes, and altering the balance of power in the region. The island's location makes it an unsinkable aircraft carrier, a term used by strategists to emphasize its value. For the US and its allies, Taiwan is essential to maintaining a stable regional balance and deterring aggression. A Chinese takeover would endanger the energy lifelines of Japan and South Korea, two of America's closest allies, giving Beijing unprecedented leverage over their economies and security. The economic stakes are massive. Taiwan is a global hub for advanced manufacturing, especially semiconductors, which power everything from smartphones to cars. Any conflict in the Taiwan Strait would choke off global trade routes, triggering worldwide supply chain chaos and causing shortages of critical goods everywhere. The fall of Taiwan would shatter confidence in US security guarantees, prompting allies across Asia and beyond to reconsider their alliances and strategic choices. Defending Taiwan is about more than democracy, it's about preserving the regional order, protecting vital interests, and upholding America's credibility as a global leader. The outcome of Taiwan's fate will shape the global balance of power for decades to come, influencing peace, prosperity, and freedom far beyond its shores. Taiwan is the world's semiconductor powerhouse, producing over 60% of global chips and 90% of the most advanced ones. Companies like TSMC are the backbone of everything from smartphones to AI and military tech. This concentration makes the world dangerously dependent on one vulnerable island. For China, seizing Taiwan's chip industry would be a technological windfall. For the US and its allies, losing it would be a disaster. Any disruption, blockade, invasion, or sabotage would trigger a global economic crisis. Taiwan's Silicon Shield is both a deterrent and a target, raising the stakes for all sides. The battle for Taiwan is a battle for control over the future of technology. China's approach to Taiwan is a blend of pressure and patience, with reunification as its core goal. While a full invasion is risky, Beijing uses gray zone tactics, military flights, cyber attacks, economic pressure, to wear down Taiwan. Recent drills simulate blockades, testing global reactions and normalizing China's military presence near Taiwan. Each move erodes Taiwan's autonomy, making future escalations seem routine. The risk of accidental conflict is high. A single incident could spiral out of control. China bets it can achieve its aims through intimidation, hoping the US and allies will hesitate to intervene. Washington faces a dilemma: how to counter these provocations without triggering the very war it wants to avoid. The gray zone is now the front line in the struggle for Taiwan's future. Japan's southwestern islands are astonishingly close to Taiwan, closer in fact than they are to Tokyo itself. This geographic reality means that any crisis involving Taiwan isn't just a distant concern for Japan, it's a direct and immediate threat to Japanese territory and the safety of its people. In recent years, Chinese military activity has surged near Japan's islands, with warships and fighter jets frequently operating in contested waters and airspace. This constant presence increases the risk of accidental clashes or even deliberate incursions, raising tensions and uncertainty in the region. Japan's economy is deeply reliant on the sea lanes that pass by Taiwan. These vital routes carry not only goods, but also the energy resources that power Japanese industry and daily life. Any blockade or disruption in this area would cripple Japan's trade, threaten its energy security, and send shockwaves through its economy. If Taiwan were to fall under Chinese control, hostile forces would be positioned directly astride these crucial sea routes. This would put Japan's security at unprecedented risk, forcing it to confront the possibility of being cut off from essential supplies and surrounded by potential adversaries. The US-Japan alliance is a cornerstone of regional security. American military bases in Japan would become central hubs for any defense of Taiwan, making Japanese territory a likely target in any conflict and drawing Japan directly into the heart of the crisis. Japan faces a stark dilemma. If it allows US forces to intervene from its soil, it risks severe Chinese retaliation. But if it refuses, it could undermine its alliance with the US and find itself isolated, facing China's growing power alone. There are no easy choices for Japan. The government must carefully balance deterrence with the risk of escalation, knowing that any miscalculation could have devastating consequences for the nation's future. The debate in Tokyo is intense and deeply divided. Politicians, experts, and citizens alike are grappling with the question: how far should Japan go to defend Taiwan, and by extension, its own security and way of life? The stakes for Japan are nothing less than existential. The decisions made in the coming years will shape the nation's destiny and determine whether it can preserve its peace, prosperity, and independence in an increasingly dangerous world. Facing new threats, Japan is overhauling its defense policy for the first time since World War II. Defense spending is rising to 2% of GDP, funding long-range missiles and new capabilities once considered too offensive. Japan is reinforcing its southwestern islands, deploying anti-ship and anti-aircraft units to deter Chinese advances. Joint US-Japan exercises now focus on defending these islands and responding to a Taiwan crisis. This shift is meant to deter China, but Beijing sees it as provocative, fueling a dangerous arms race. The security dilemma grows. Each side's defensive moves look offensive to the other. Japan's new posture makes it more likely to be drawn into any Taiwan conflict. The region's military balance is shifting, and the risks are rising. The US has long relied on strategic ambiguity to deter China and restrain Taiwan, never promising outright to defend the island. But China's military buildup and assertiveness are eroding the credibility of this approach. Some in Washington now call for strategic clarity, an explicit pledge to defend Taiwan. Yet such a move could provoke China or embolden Taiwan, raising the risk of war. Sticking with ambiguity, however, risks appearing indecisive, tempting Chinese aggression. Any U.S. defense of Taiwan would require striking Chinese forces, risking rapid escalation and even nuclear confrontation. America would also need allied bases, dragging Japan and others into the conflict. The U.S. faces a strategic trap. Both action and inaction could lead to disaster. The stakes are nothing less than the future of the Indo-Pacific order. The world is watching America's next move. Behind the military posturing, urgent diplomacy seeks to prevent catastrophe in the Taiwan Strait. High-level US-China talks and military hotlines are vital to avoid miscalculation during tense moments. Quiet deals, like reducing military activity in sensitive areas, could lower tensions, but trust is scarce. International actors like Singapore and the EU can mediate, but Beijing rejects outside interference on Taiwan. Effective diplomacy must be backed by credible deterrence and a unified allied stance. The challenge warned China of severe consequences while keeping dialogue open and avoiding provocation. The world's peace may hinge on this delicate balance of strength and reassurance. The Taiwan Strait is now the world's most dangerous geopolitical fault line. China's drills show both intent and capability, pushing the region closer to war with global consequences. A conflict would devastate the global economy, halt chip production, and risk nuclear escalation. The US, China, and Japan are locked in a web of security, economics, and history. One misstep could be catastrophic. The answer is credible deterrence paired with creative diplomacy. Raise the cost of aggression, but keep lines open. The goal is not to win a war, but to prevent one. The choices made now will define the 21st century: cooperation and prosperity, or a tragic, avoidable war. The world stands at a crossroads. The stakes could not be higher.